very simple process on NetGalley, which is probably about to get me blacklisted by just about every publisher out there and probably the NetGalley service as well. Step 1, or question 1. Is it by an author I've read before and loved? If yes, immediately request. If no, move on to question 2. Question 2. Is it by an author that I haven't read before but really, really want to? If yes, immediately request. If no, move on to question 3. All seems fine. Now we get to chaos mode. Question 3. Does the cover look pretty and is it a romance? If yes, immediately request. If no, move on. Therefore, I end up with a lot of books on my NetGalley TBR that I have no idea what they're about. So today's video is all about reacting to my own NetGalley TBR. Hello, I'm Beth Joey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. As I said, I have a somewhat chaotic process for requesting books on NetGalley that I have just shared with you. Question 1 and 2 I think are completely fine, and I think most questions, that people ask themselves. But question number 3 is literally just based on cover and vibes. I don't read the blurbs of the NetGalley books that I request at all. In no point in this whole scenario was there any reading of blurbs. I know nothing about like 90% of the books that I request off of NetGalley, and sometimes I'll request like the 4th book in a series and then I'll have to just like rampantly read the first 3 books just because I thought the cover of the 4th one looked cool and I didn't realize it was the 4th one. But anyway, that's my process. So let's go through the books on my NetGalley TBR and I will read you the blurbs and we will react to them and see if I actually think that I'm going to like them. So first up on my NetGalley app, I see The Serpent Called Mercy by Roanne. It has a very cool cover, which I'll put here. And this comes out on the 27th of March, 2025 and is pitched as The Witcher meets Squid Game in this Malaysian Chinese-inspired epic fantasy novel where a debt-ridden slumdog joins an illegal monster-fighting arena for some fast coin, but quickly learns the most dangerous beasts are outside the ring. That was chaos in my head. I've got no idea. So let's read the blurb. It says, Liflet, that's hard to say, and her only friend Dessel are shackled to a life of debt and poverty that she fears they will never escape. Desperate for money, they sign up as conquestors, arena combatants who fight sun-cursed beasts in the seedy underworld of the city. So this is kind of feeling a little bit like Gladiator style, which wasn't one of the things that they referenced as like the tie-up, but anyway. Matchmaster Dothalos is initially enamored of Dessel's brawling reputation, but after seeing Liflet lead the pair to triumph with her quick cunning, he takes her under his wing, scorning Dessel. Ambition takes root in Liflet's heart as a life of fame and wealth unfolds in her imagination. But she isn't the only one out for coin and glory, and she soon finds herself playing an entirely different game, a game of politics and deception. As the cost of her ambition grows, she will have to decide if sacrificing her honor and only friendship is worth the chance to shape her own future. Okay, so I usually only request romances, so I don't know how this ended up here, but this sounds like there's gonna be just a serious betrayal between 2 best friends from the outset. I think it's almost like villain origin story-esque, like maybe Liflet is the eventual hero, but Dessel is like the villain that she ends up having to fight because she scorned him and he's mad. I assume Dessel is a he. Dessel might be a she. It doesn't say. But yeah, I guess it's a book. I don't think it's something I'd usually pick up for myself, so I don't know how I ended up with it, but it's an adult sci-fi and fantasy. Sounds fun. Book number 2 is Thrill Ride by Amy Ratcliffe, and there's just a big roller coaster on the cover, which must have been what intrigued me. And this comes out on the 25th of March, and it says, business meets pleasure at a family-owned theme park in this sexy, fun-filled debut from the former editor-in-chief at Nerdist, as a thrill ride designer shows a straight-laced suit, the lighter side of life, and discovers a whole new perspective of her own. Sounds kind of like Grumpy Sunshiny in a way, but let's continue. Charlotte Yates grew up in a land of fairy tales and mythological creatures, literally, spending her childhood at her aunt and uncle's theme park, Lands of Legend. It's no surprise that she eventually landed her dream job designing thrill rides for a massive global company. This kind of reminds me of the Dreamland Billionaires series in a bit of a way, except now the woman is the one that like does the stuff for the theme park rather than the men. The surprise comes when she's laid off. Oh geez, oh that's rough in your family business, and catches her now ex-boyfriend cheating. Wow, it doesn't stop. With her boss. Oh my god. Worse, back in her Ohio hometown, Charlotte finds that Lands of Legend is struggling. To stay open, they'll have to work with an investor. And to Charlotte's horror, Gregory Binns not only doesn't know the difference between a theme park and an amusement park, neither do I. He's also never been on a roller coaster. Even more troubling, she's certain his ideas will ruin Lands of Legend's uniqueness. So Charlotte sets out to make sure buttoned-up Gregory experiences the magic firsthand. Opening the park's new themed area, Under the Waves, is the perfect opportunity, which brings Charlotte to her next surprise. As Gregory loosens up, even ditching his tie, Good on you, Gregory. Charlotte begins to see him in an attractive new light. She even catches herself fantasizing about what a life with less work and more Gregory would be like. But when her old job makes her a tempting new offer, she's faced with a decision: reclaim the career she worked her whole life to build, or sit tight for a thrilling new shot at love. Okay, so, I mean, I'm kind of confused by this one because she gets fired, but then somehow gets re-involved back in the business again and gets involved with the investor that needs to keep the business running, and then gets offered her job back despite the fact that she's kind of already doing another job. I'm a little bit confused by the premise of this one. Maybe reading it will clear it up for me, but I think it is kind of a bit confusing. I also don't like in the blurb when they say kind of what happens with the love interest, in the sense of like Gregory's clearly positioned as this like straight-laced button-up kind of grumpy guy, and now it's saying literally in the last paragraph of the blurb he's gonna loosen up. I'm like, I know that because it's a romance, like of course he's gonna loosen up, but like don't tell me that in the blurb. I want to be surprised when it happens. I've never read an amusement park romance other than the Dreamland Billionaire series, and that was kind of like very alpha-y, and this seems more funny and lighthearted. I mean, lighthearted, she gets fired and her ex cheats on her with her boss. I'm not super thrilled with my picks so far though. Next up, we have Cupid on the Loose by John J. Jacobson, Triple J. Go you. And this comes out on the 4th of February 2025, and it looks kind of like a cowboy romance sort of thing. I'm intrigued though because I haven't read many romances written by men, and I know they get a bit of a bad rap, so this could be either really good or really bad, we'll see. And this says, from the author of All the Cowboys Ain't Gone and California Fever, never read either of those, comes a romantic comedy about the exuberant intoxication of amour and its often hilarious antics. Aspiring author Billy Spears, oh, so is it a sort of his perspective first? Interesting. Okay. Aspiring author Billy Spears tends to fall passionately in love, but soon, finding something missing, fall quickly out again. Oh, so he gets the ick quickly. His grandmother, who raised him, thinks he needs to settle down and find a mate. Is he a werewolf? When Billy's on the verge of ending yet another relationship, his grandmother decides to do some well-intentioned meddling, as grandmothers are known to do. Good on you, grandma. Carrie Porter is not... Bloody hell, this blows on. Sorry. Carrie Porter is not only smart and beautiful, but also a writer with passions and sensibilities similar to Billy's. She loves the same kind of stories, quotes lines from his favorite old poems and songs, sounds pretentious, and has a unique take on Shakespeare. Is this the kindred spirit he's been longing for? Sparks fly, and soon the two are lingering over dinner and taking romantic sunset bike rides along the California coast. They even manage to matchmake their 4 closest friends. But artistic types can be hypersensitive. As their relationship rapidly progresses, they become afraid of moving too fast and of getting hurt. Carrie becomes distant, dealing with a crisis she feels she can't share with Billy, while Billy responds with crazy drastic action that he thinks might salvage the relationship. Billy's grandmother can't help meddling again, sending all 3 couples, how many romances are in this, to a magical mountain lodge where she and her husband fell madly in love decades before. Mayhem ensues when the enigmatic and impish proprietor of the lodge introduces passion-fueled havoc, pushing the young lovers inadvertently in the wrong direction. Oh, okay, so it's a 21st century twist on Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, a delightful romp that takes an entertaining and humorous look at the foibles of infatuation, lust, and romantic love. So this one, I haven't read much Shakespeare. I haven't read any Shakespeare since I graduated from school, so I only ever read like Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet. I don't have much experience with A Midsummer Night's Dream, other than I think seeing a like high school production of it, which, you know, was pretty good, to be fair. So I don't know anything about A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I hope this isn't one of the books that kind of requires you to know a little bit more. I hope this is a book where if you don't know the story, this feels all the more original. But I don't know, it feels like he's leading me around too much in this blurb, and it feels like he might be the kind of author where he doesn't let you come to your own conclusion, like him saying, but artistic types can be hypersensitive. I'm like, I could have figured that out rather than you telling me directly, and is a very meddlesome grandma, so I don't know, it sounds like it could be fun. I'm not overwhelmed by it, but let's move on. Next, we've got an amazing title, Some Like It Scot, rather than Some Like It Hot, by Pepper Basham, and it comes out on the 8th of April. This book says, she lives her life on the fly. His heart is double knotted to home. Can 2 different souls create a life together? Popular travel writer and podcaster Katie Campbell roams the world collecting other people's stories. She's built a career as Miss Adventure, known for saying yes to anything new, country, food, or experience, and predictably finding those adventures taking a downward turn into misadventures. This sounds like it's going to be fun. Offered the chance to explore her her ancestral roots through a 3-week Edwardian experience, Katie finds herself immersed in the beauty and eccentricity of Scotland. Girl, if I could, I would live there. So yes, love the Scotland setting. In her period attire, with traditional foods and activities, this sounds like a dream holiday. The opportunities for misadventures are endless, especially with the presence of a maniacal macaw, a jealous co-worker, and an all-too surly Scotsman. Reclusive and protective Graham McKerrow doesn't venture far from his island home. A stoic Scotsman, Graham's comfort zone has always been his family, and after his sister's death, he's even more determined to save the McKerrow ancestral home and keep those he loves close. The sudden intrusion of a 6'1", she is tall, American lass, I love that word, famous for her traveling misfortunes, was far from his plan. As this world of folklore, community, and woodworkers and kills tempts Katie to discover her own story, could this one grand series of misadventures lead her directly to where she belongs? And would a settled-in Scot ever risk loosening his grip on what's familiar to allow a wanderlust writer a home in his heart? How could their very different worlds share the same page of life story when home is in two very different places? But maybe home and the future isn't quite what either one imagined it would be. Maybe home is less about a place and more about a person. This sounds right up my alley. So one, it's set in Scotland, which send me there immediately, please. I would love that. But then on top of that, we've kind of got a heroine who's like wanderlust and fun and just used to everything kind of going wrong, and that sounds like such an entertaining time, just watching everything like spiral out of control with her, followed by like, I'm sure, a grumpy hero who's just like scrambling after. I'm most imagining she's off running and then like leaving chaos in her wake, and he's just like scrambling behind her, like trying to pick everything up. That is the image that this provokes in my mind, and I cannot wait for it. Yeah, this sounds like it's gonna be fun. I'm intrigued. This is gonna be fun. Okay, so we're about halfway through now, and we have got The Perfect Rom-Com by Melissa Ferguson, which comes out on the 11th of February. She's written dozens of smash hit romance novels. Too bad no one knows it. Is this a ghostwriter? Ooh, this will be fun. Aspiring author Bryony Page attends her first writers' conference, bursting with optimism and ready to sell her manuscript with long-shot dreams of raising awareness for The Bridge, her grandmother's financially struggling organization where she teaches ESL full-time. Oh, I love that. But after a disastrous pitch session, oh no, she stumbles into correcting another author's work in a last-ditch attempt to make a good impression with the agent, and she, as it turns out, is spot on. No one is more surprised than Bryony when the agent offers her the opportunity to be a ghostwriter for Amelia Benedict, who is a popular rom-com novelist. Bryony agrees on one condition. She'll write books for this vain, demanding woman just as long as Jack Sterling, literary agent of the legendary Foundry Literary Agency, works to sell her own book too. What nobody predicted, however, was that Bryony's books would turn Amelia Benedict into the Amelia Benedict, household name and best-selling author with millions of copies sold around the world. And just like that, the Foundry Agency can't let her go. But on a personal note, Jack is realizing he can't either. Okay, this one definitely intrigues me. This sounds like something where there's going to be a real conflict between her sort of ghostwriter identity and also the real writer that she wants to be. Because I'm sure as a ghostwriter, a lot of them probably reach this point where they're kind of like, I want to write in my own story and get my own recognition. I'm making an assumption here. I have never met a ghostwriter. This seems like the sort of book where she's going to reach a point where she's like, but I want to put my own name out there, my own story, my own identity, rather than giving this Amelia Benedict character all the credit and acclaim and, you know, the household name status. I'm intrigued to see how that conflict develops. I don't know, this sounds like it's got so many perfect opportunities for some conflict. I love the sort of ESL foundation side of things with the grandmother. I think that'll lend some emotion and some stakes to the story as well. So this sounds really, really good. I'm really, really intrigued for this one. Then we've got a cowboy romance, which is Rustler Mountain by Maisey Yates. I think all of these were cover picks. I don't think there's a single one here where I knew the author or anything about the book. And this one comes out on the 25th of February, and it says, tourists may flock to Rustler Mountain, Oregon for its Wild West reenactments. Ooh, we're gonna have some reenactments. But for locals, the feuds between the outlaws and the lawmen are still very much alive. Every year, thousands of people come through Rustler for the rodeo, historic home tours, old-fashioned candy-making demonstrations, sharpshooter shows, and to see the site of the 1800s shootout in which notorious outlaw Austin Wilder was killed by Sheriff Lee Talbot. Now, Millie Talbot, the sheriff's descendant, wants to bring back the town's gold rush days, but she needs the current Austin Wilder's support to make her dream a reality. Oh wait, so it's genuinely like family legacy enemies. Outlaw Wilder family versus the Talbot family who were the sheriff, because the next bit is the Wilders are rumored to be as true to their last name as their ancestors. Nonetheless, Austin is agreeable to helping Millie, but he wants something in return. Austin is working to clear his family name by writing the true history of his outlaw ancestors, and Millie might just hold the key. When Millie wrangles Austin into helping plan Gold Rush days, he figures it's a chance to get the truth of the past, but when sparks start to fly between this bad boy and good girl, will either of them come out of it unscathed? Okay, again, very intrigued by this one, because not only do you have the sort of bad boy, good girl thing, which I think is just a lot of fun, it sounds like there's also going to be an element of history has been rewritten by the victors and the people in power kind of thing. I feel like I'm going to come out of this kind of rooting for the Wilds and not the Talbots, and there's going to be this exploration of how history's kind of been rewritten, and maybe these people weren't as bad as they've always been historically characterized as. I mean, I'm making massive presumptions here, but that sounds like it could be really cool. Plus it's a cowboy romance. I'm intrigued by the whole reenactments thing. I think if she gets the atmosphere and the world setting right, this could be really immersive in terms of like the reenactments and the candy making and all these sorts of things with the tourists. I think it could be really kind of like cozy and fun. Again, another one really excited for, and they're kind of like historical enemies. This sounds like fun. Then we've got 4 Steps to the Perfect Fake Date by Lilian Monroe. Very long title, but very intrigued. And this comes out on the 11th of March, 2025. And it says, a notorious rule follower, the old Daphne Davis could do no wrong. But lately, she can't get anything right. Girl, same. Jilted by her ex, ousted from her home, and laid off from her job. Okay, can't relate to any of that, but anyway, Daphne retreats to her little hometown, Fernley Island. But even there, she feels out of sync, bailing on her own sister's engagement party. Oh God, I hope the sister isn't someone we end up liking, because that will make me potentially not like the main character. She suddenly embraces a brand new philosophy. No more goody two-shoes. Unfortunately, Daphne's new mantra lands her squarely in the headlights, literally, of her high school nemesis. Ooh, a little bit of enemies to lovers, hate to love kind of thing. Love that. His name is Calvin Flint. No longer a scrawny jerk, he's Fernley's acting sheriff, filling out his uniform way better than he ought to. He's also Daphne's new boss. Wait, so she said no more Mr. Nice Girl, but then becomes a cop. Her job is to be, like, protect and serve. Isn't that the definition of, like, being a nice person? As Daphne balances the books after a department scandal, a series of mishaps throws her and Calvin together. The sparks that fly take them both by surprise, but will a fake dating scheme and quest for a stolen heirloom ruin their chance at something real? Okay, lots of things in here. I think scavenger hunt kind of thing from the heirloom. Enemies to lovers, I guess, from historic relationship in high school. And then also there is the whole boss-employee sort of thing. And then teaming up, fake dating, so many things in here that I think I'm gonna love. This sounds perfect. Honestly, that sounds perfect. That is my NetGalley TBR. This is my reaction to my NetGalley TBR. I think we've had more success with the later books on this list than the first couple, but let me know in the comments down below if you have NetGalley and some of the books that you've been approved for recently, so I can be super, super jealous about the ones I potentially wasn't approved for. Or if you just have any recommendations of books that are coming out soon that you read off of NetGalley, let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you like this video, please do like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so I'll be notified whenever you'll be notified whenever I release new videos. God, that's a struggle, I'm tired. Do go and check out my TikTok as well, which is always linked down below. I do sort of more vlog style content, immediate reactions, immediate reviews to books after I've read them, and just some funny lip sync things, or at least I think they're funny. So do go and check that out down below. That is it for me today, so I will hopefully see you in my next video. I hope you're having an amazing day wherever in the world you are having it, and I'll see you soon. Bye!